Hello everyone, back after a long hiatus. This is Lord Osteron. This is a continuation of the Kabbalistic themed video. I just want to get into a little bit more about these numbers here. There's a lot going on here, and I also want to cover the Pentagram a little bit more too. There's a few more things I discovered about this that's really interesting. Okay, these numbers here. What this is these numbers. This is the numbers 0 through 36 written out on top of one another. And the lower portion here is what those numbers reduce to. Okay, I explained more about this in the first video, my most recent Kabbalistic video. I'll put a link in the description. Okay, so what you have here is the numbers 0 through 36 written out. And the color codes correspond to the elements of the true tree of life in both sections of the tree of life. The upper part is what the Kabbalistic tree really is, and the lower part would be the klipoth, but it's not evil. It's all worked they work together. Okay, but the top part is color coded to the true tree. It goes water, fire, air, and then earth. And it goes water, fire, air, and then Malkuth is earth. And Malkuth is represented as, goes earth, the whole thing is earth, and it goes air, water, fire. So the whole thing is earth, and it goes air, water, and fire. And that's why it's color-coded like it is. But now you're going to see something. When it's broken up like this, it separates itself into 12 sections, okay? You got the upper section of 4, the middle section of 4, and then the bottom section of 4. There's 12 distinct sections. And each section reveals a number. Like all of the bottom is 9, so you cancel that out. The only sections that actually reveal numbers, I guess is a better way to say it, is the section of 1s become 1, the section of 2s become 2. Now this section here is different because it's not a complete section. The section of 3s, when you write out 0 through 36, stops at 36. It stops at the 6. So there's only 7 numbers here. And remember, 7 is associated with, if you watch my binary cube matrix videos, 7 is a cube, 7 is the material world, 7 is light, and all this interrelated stuff. And even the middle pillar here, 6 plus 1 is 7. So there's only 7 numbers being revealed here, so it's short. And the 3s in the 2 sections here add up to 2 21s. So this section of 3 becomes 21, and the 0 through 6 also becomes 21, which reduces to 2 3s, or 33 and 3 and 3, which becomes 6. And then when you add, like these 10 1s become 10, these 10 2s become 20, that becomes 30. So now the numbers that are reveal 21, 21, and 30, which when you combine those becomes 72. And as I explained in the other video, that reveals the angles of the pentagram. And that's what you see up here, the pentagram. The 36 degrees is the top corner, the inside here is a 72, and the bigger one is 108. Now at the time, when I made that video, I said the number 108 doesn't show up, but it actually does. So when you present this number string, there's a bunch of different ways you can present it, okay? If you present it as a visual presentation of the code, you add these zeros on the end, because you can see 0 through 9, 0 through 9, 0 through 9, and 0 through 6, okay? So the 0 you put in here to present it as a system, as a code. That's why you do that, okay? And if you do that, the total amount of numbers used in this code presentation is 111, okay? But if you were just to write out the numbers 1 through 36 without using these zeros, it would reveal 108, okay? And what you do is you take off these zeros, because if you write it out in that way, just 1 through 36, the 0 is implied by the 1 of the system. It's sort of like Malkuth here. The reason there's no 0 written in the code of numbers for what would be Malkuth, which is the physical world, because 0 is implied by the 1. So that's showing the duality nature of reality, because there is no 1 without 0. So as soon as a 1 is created, the implication of 0 is implied by the boundary of the 1. That's what that's saying. Well, the same thing here. So when you do that, the number revealed is 108. But now you could argue, so you could say, well, what about these upper zeros here? Those don't need to be there. And you can make a point for that. And the reason I would leave these zeros here is because most of the numbers are in a dual sense. So once you break out of the single digits, every other number is a duality. So you could argue that leaving these zeros here is part of the system. And it actually is part of the system because as you see, the numbers 0 through 9 fractalize out as you jump up. So in the singular sense, it goes 0 through 9, 0 through 9, 0 through 9. But when it gets bigger, you see the string of 10 zeros, 10 ones, 10 twos, and then if this was complete, it'd be 10 threes, 10 fours, 10 fives, and so on. So the fractal of 0 through 9 does continue, and it keeps getting bigger fractally. And then if you were to jump up to the hundreds, it'd be 100 ones, 100 twos, 100 threes, and 1,000 ones, 1,000 twos, 1,000 threes. So the 0 being here is correct for the code, but you could still argue that it doesn't need to be there in that situation. So if you took all those zeros out, then the number would be 99. So there's 3 numbers being represented in this code system, depending on the perspective of how you're viewing it. If you're viewing it as complete code, it's 111. But what's 111? 3. And remember the nature of 3 in the true tree here, the 1 and 2 become 3, 12, and then 21. In this true tree, the bottom half of this is just a fractal of the cube. Remember that. It's just a fractal of the cube. What is a cube? What's the fundamental nature of a cube? 3 dimensions. And that's what you're seeing here. The 1, the 2, 3 dimensions. The next level is the 12. 3, 4, and 5 become 12. The 12 connecting lines. And then the next level is 21. And the 12 connecting lines, when those are in place properly, reveal 6 faces. So then you got the 3 dimensions, the 12 connecting lines, and the form reveals 6 faces, which becomes 21. And then the center point of that, the invisible center point, the intangible center point, would make it 22. So when you add it to the middle pillar, it becomes 22. And I explained this 1,000 times, but so that's what that does. So now, getting into the pentagram just a little bit more, you're going to see some numbers around this inverted pentagram. I have it inverted, and that might make some people raise their eyebrows, but as you recall from the other videos where I show the pentagram, both of them are valid. The inverted and the regular one work together. Okay, but the reason I have it like this is because in the last video I talked about how sort of like an idealized nature of the mating aspect of men and women, okay? And I use this number here. Remember, the single digit code has 2 forms, 0 through 9, but the complete form is 0 through 18, which shows both phases, and that's what's shown here, 0 through 9, and then 9 through 18, there's 2 phases. They're complementary. The same thing with this, okay? So now you got 0 at the base of the pentagram. And what happens is this goes around from 0 to 90, and what that represents is the life of a man. The basic average life of a man is 90 years old. You can safely say that a person, the lifespan of a human being is 90 years. Is it exact? Of course not. Some people die at 70, some people die at 120. I mean, it depends. But average, in average sense, 90 is a good ballpark estimation, and it fits in with a single digit code. Okay. So what happens is you start out with 0, and you rise, you're rising, and you rise, and you become 18. And as I explained in the other video, once you hit 18, you begin your second childhood, as it is, and you start to learn more. And what happens is 18 to 36, you're still rising, okay? And that's when you're in your second phase of childhood, you could say. But now, 36 to 54 is at the top of this apex here. This is like the prime of your life. The years, and anyone who's over 40 will tell you this, that really life doesn't really begin until you hit 40, and you change when you become 40. There's a new perspective that you understand more, you become wise in these years. 36 to 54 is when you gain the perfect balance of wisdom and youth. So you're wise enough to be able to live, but you're still healthy and strong enough to live well at these years, 36 to 54. Now 54 to 72, you're on the decline. You're once you hit 54 and you go into 72, no one's going to mistake you for being a young kid anymore. You're obviously declining. You're obviously getting old, and there's no denying that. You can deny that in the end. I myself, I'm 48, and I'm still healthy and strong. But I'm at the end of this. But I can still pretend like I'm not getting old, even though But after 54, between then, the signs will be. You won't be able to deny it. You are getting old. There's nothing you can do about it, basically, and you know it. Okay, and then from 72 back to 90 is even more of a decline. You are getting beyond old. You're getting old. You're getting old, and no one who looks at you is going to even ever think you were young, type of thing. So this shows the life of a man, 0 through 90, and it has its phases. And the inner ones, so it goes 0, 9, you can always see 0, 9, 18, 27, 36, 50, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90. And this also fractalizes out. This can fractalize out again. You can use this in multiples of 10. So 0, you have 0 here, and then you put 90 here, then you 180 here, 270, 360, 450, 540, 630, 720, 810, then 900. And the reason I mention that is because if you listen to mythology, like old Bible stories and stuff, and other mythologies, it says that human beings lived much longer. And it might not even have been us as humans. It could have been sort of like the proto-human, like the line that spawned human beings. I guess you could say. You could say the Anunnaki or whatever you want to say, but you could say that. But they had lifespans that averaged in the 900s, and you could say so. This fractalizes out and it still works perfectly, and stuff like that. Now, next section's interesting here. I had help with this. Let me get back on camera. I was inspired by this by Ken Wheeler. Okay, I was watching one of his videos and he talks about the Pythagorean Triangle. Let me get closer. I gotta be closer. This is a estimation. Let me turn around. This is an estimation of a Pythagorean triangle. Okay. And the angular degrees, the top one's 108, and the two side ones 36. Okay, and it takes 3 of these to form a pentagram. What you do, I gotta do this reversed. What you do is you take these. Try and do it on the camera. What you do is you take 2 of these. Okay, you join it like this. Okay, and you see this. This is pretty close. And then what you do is you take the next one, like this, and you put it on like that, and it gives you a pretty accurate pentagram like that. Okay, that's 3, but there's a flaw with this, and I'll reveal that in a minute on the board. 3 of these reveal a pentagram, but there's another way to do it if you follow the way of nature. Like what happens in nature, and we see in vortex math, 1 doubles to become 2, 2 doubles to become 4. So the 3 is a little bit awkward. It's like, where does that 3 come from? It doesn't really fit the progress of nature. Like 1 becomes 2, then 2 becomes 3. Like, where is that? But it doesn't. 2 becomes 4 when you double. Okay, so now what happens is you take 2 of these structures, like this. Okay, so you got one Pythagorean triangle becomes 2, and that's this shape. 2 of these shapes become 2 of these, and now when you interlace them over like this together, it reveals a pentagram like that. Just turn around like this. It reveals, now obviously this is not perfect, but you get the idea, right? I'm trying to manipulate 4 pieces of shit here. But now you get 4 of these become a pentagram, but this is still flawed. Okay, because, and I'll explain what the flaw is and how the perfection is revealed. Now what happens is when you interlace those triangles into 3 form, what happens is this lower one here has is overlap, so there's 2 points here. The rest of them are just 1. So these 4 are just 1, and this is doubled to become a 2. When you do it in the 4 way, when you do 4 of them to make the pentagram, these are doubled, and these are doubled, and there's another one that's doubled too. There's 3 of them that are doubled, and 2 of them are not doubled. The only way to make it absolutely perfect is to use 5 Pythagorean triangles to make it. And then when you do that, what you have is perfect overlap. So everything is doubled up. So, and what does that mean? What is that saying? What is that showing? It means that there's actually 2 pentagrams, just like the fucking cube in the binary cube matrix. There's really 2 cubes. Well, there's really 2 pentagrams too. So when you use 5 Pythagorean triangles, when you use 5 of these Pythagorean triangles, they overlap, and each node is overlapped twice, so that reveals 2 pentagrams. And if you recall, as I mentioned before, my what I call the unicursal double pentagram. I have a few videos on that, and it shows both triangles inverted, a regular pentagram, this inverted one, and they work together to reveal this single digit code. Okay, so now that's how that works with that. The Pythagorean triangles reveal the pentagrams, and you can do it with either 3, 4, or 5. And what's the next level when you break out of the abyss on the true tree of life? 3, 4, and 5. That's the fire. Okay, so 3 Pythagorean triangles can make a pentagram. 4 can also do it if you follow a different code. But if you want it to be perfect, you use 5 Pythagorean triangles, and that reveals 2 pentagrams when you do that. So these are working together basically. This code of numbers reveals all the angles of the pentagram. The 36 is implied by the 36. When you add all the numbers, 30, 21, 21, that reveals 72 for the angle, and the 108 is in here too, as I showed. When you take off the zeros and you present it in a physical sense, it reveals 108 numbers, and that reveals the angle for that. So we're seeing this. And I also explained in the binary cube matrix at one point how the cube reveals the pentagram too. I forget exactly offhand what that is, but it's in those videos, the binary cube matrix series. Now one last thing too I want to get to is this. This is the other form of the tree of life here. This is the infinite version. This is a singular version. I explained that in the first section. And one of the ideas of vortex math is the difference between the numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and then 3, 6, 9. But it's really not 9, see, it's really just 3 and 6, because 9 is implied. So when you say 3, 6, 9, you could just easily say 1, 8, 9, 2, 7, 9, or 4, 5, 9, because 9 is everything. So you can get rid of 9. So it's really just 3 and 6. So what happens here, now, again, getting help from Ken Wheeler on this, is Ken Wheeler draws a light wave just like this. This green line would be the longitudinal wave, and the blue and the red one would be the transverse waves. Okay, so now when you take the numbers and you see them in this form here, the 3, 6, and 9 in this case represent the longitudinal wave, and the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 represent the transverse wave here that goes through. So you could very well say that the number system is actually represents light. Okay, you could say that. You could make an argument for that the single digits represent light, whereas the 3 and 6 represent the longitudinal wave, and the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 represent the transverse wave, and the distinction is made by that, and light is, as Ken Wheeler says, is a, forget what he says it is offhand, but what does he call it? He doesn't say binary, I think he does say binary, he says something. He was watching the videos, it's pretty good. But anyways, so that's a little last part of this. So I just wanted to make this hopefully short video. I know I haven't made a video in a long time, and I was just trying to, I didn't really have much to go on. I just really was working with these numbers, and then just a couple days ago the Pythagorean triangle element came into it, and then the different ways to represent to build the pentagram. And the pentagram is really an amazing structure. Do you have any idea how hard it is to draw a fucking pentagram without having drafting tools? Like, I had to draw this. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. But I had to draw this without any drafting tools, without a compass or anything, just using a ruler and markers, that's it. And I had to get this to even become, even like close to being perfect is such a monumental task. I had to make a jig to do this. I mean, it was a fucking Herculean effort just to get that to look good, you know? Because even the slightest deviation, the slightest imperfection makes it look retarded. And this is obviously imperfect. If you look at it long enough, you'll see the imperfections, but it's pretty close for not having tools to do it properly. But it's so hard to draw a pentagram. It is. Because there's nothing to base, everything is like, there's no, like drawing a cube is easy because you have a reference line, you know what I mean? Drawing a hexagon is pretty easy too because you have a reference line to work with, but drawing a pentagram you have nothing to work with. It's just, you know what I mean? So unless you have a drafting tool, the only thing that I have even that comes close to a drafting tool is a fucking speed square, and that's not precise enough to draw it perfectly. You know what I mean? Suppose I could get close with it, but I mean, so that's that. So this is it. Just like a few little add-ons to the last video, the last two videos I made, explaining the pentagram, the single-digit code, and some aspects of the tree of life. But a big thing about the tree of life that's very important too, that I explain, is the fractalization of the cube. This can't be understated, how important this is in this lower part here, and then it jumps into the other part. So thank you, and namaste.